Football faces a new world and commercial priorities are changing. What are the current challenges for national associations and how do you think technology can help?
Okay, so first of all, good morning and thank you for having me here and sharing the stage with Douglas. Now, I think that to be honest, everyone is having a huge challenge because this is it's like a global massive event that affects every single thing on our life. So it's obvious that also in football, it will be, or any other sports, it will be affecting all the ways of communications, of training, of online and offline activities, as well as managing the organization itself. So I think that in my perspective, if I split it in two, I would refer to the organization, the inside the organization. We will need to restructure our organization in order to embrace this huge and massive change that eventually, it's here for 10 years, all this digitation, but actually most of the organization are not prepared for that. And now that it's that everything, in the last period, everything came like an accelerator of digitation, as it's becoming so essential for our sustainability. So our organization, first internally, we will need to change the structure. We will need to train other scales to change position, relocate resources in order to face this new normal that it's obviously going to stay. Another point, it's externally. How do we deal with all our stakeholders, our commercial rights, our match day experience that we don't have anymore for now, and how we engage our audience. So these kinds of things, it's vital to understand, the needs and try to speed forward in order to be able to face these challenges. Now, if I have one example that I dealing in now, it's we are starting the Nation League, and we are facing a problem offline that we are allowed to do ceremonies and put, all our branding on the pitch, etc., etc. And when we discover this challenge, we find out that the way to the solution is actually to do a special graphic in via the broadcaster. But then you start, like in the Champions League, then you start to deal with a lot of people, with CA11, with UEFA. No, you need to be with the local broadcasters. So I think these kinds of things we will face much and much more, and in this sense, especially commercial wise, we will need to assess again all the new reality, all the new assets in order to try and overcome all these challenges that we're facing. So
thank you. So Doug, next question is for you. As budgets are cut and for football organizations are trying to cope with the new reality of, on one hand, increased demand for live sports, but reduced production budgets. What can be done to answer this demand? How do you see the current changes affecting the football broadcasting market, and how can national associations and leagues meet this demand?
Well, the first thing is that every rights will need to answer that for their particular situation, whether it's leagues or clubs or national associations. They all have different issues. And if you look at national associations over the last 5 years, we've worked with maybe between 35 and 40 of European national associations. Everybody has different challenges, but everybody has the same subset of challenges, if you will. everyone, National Association leagues in particular, all have matches that they want to broadcast that aren't broadcast. Whether that is youth matches, women's matches, secondary leagues, as you referenced in your presentation, there are matches that they want to broadcast, whether it's to inspire people, to play football, whether it's to get eyeballs for some of the offerings that they don't currently get eyeballs for, or whether it's just to get people to love football and have more opportunity to contact football. Everybody's got matches that they would broadcast if they could, but cost is an issue, and people have to face the realities of that. Historically, there's been a big gap in the market between either you get a cell phone and put it on MyCuju, or you have one fixed camera and an intern and put it on MyCuju or a YouTube channel, or you have to pay for maybe a 4-camera, multi-camera production, and that costs in the thousands of dollars. And by the time you multiply that by all the matches you want to broadcast, the cost of production is prohibitive for a lot of broadcasts. So the idea that you can have something, and that's a pretty wide space. The idea that now you've got new solutions in that space, you got something that is, what you showed on screen there is much better, much more visually interesting. I would watch that, as a fan, if I were a fan of, that club. That's much more visually interesting and much higher production quality than a fixed camera. But if you can then do something like that at a much lower cost per match of something like a 4-camera, multi-camera production with an OB van, that's a big space in between. So if you do something there, that's very interesting. And if I were a rights holder, that would kind of change the calculus. And now I have to think about, oh, wait a minute, maybe there are a whole nother range of matches I can broadcast that I couldn't broadcast before. And it would change how I look at it, and what I'm going to do, and can I do more in terms of reaching people with content that I'm not creating now.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And we see that in many leagues that we are operating in, and the demand is there. The demand is just becoming more and more evident as fans are away from their matches, and there is a really strong need also from the fans. They understand that they now need to support their teams as well. They are supporting their clubs. They're supporting their favorite teams that they've been used to coming to the game day and buying tickets and merchandise and everything. And now it's something that is very important for them to support as well. So they're more inclined even to pay for a pay-per-view experience. So Ronit, bouncing off this question, digital transformation, is a term that is often thrown at conferences like this and in boardrooms. Do you think the pandemic will be a catalyst for this transformation, or are organizations afraid to invest in these processes at the time of uncertainty and as more and more sponsors are hesitant about extending their deals?
No, I think definitely it's going to catalyze this process. Again, as I said, it's becoming, it's like a decade that everybody is talking about it. At least I think, in National Association, I for sure. But to make the next step, it was quite challenging. Also, I think more allocating the right resources or making the right research in order to move this process forward. It was really challenging. Today, I think that this pandemic actually designed the new way of how we are thinking, how we are connecting, how we are engaging, and it's cross generations. Okay, so if I think, I don't know, 2 years ago when we were speaking on OTT channels, or I don't know, we tried to do some stuff, it because we are partners in certain projects, and it was difficult also to sell it to the management. internally. Today, I think that everybody understands that it's crucial. It's not the future anymore. We are living it now, and in that sense, I see more openness from everybody to jump on board and do this massive change. Absolutely.
Great. So we need to talk about this after the test session.
Exactly.
maybe after the win today, we will have a little bit of time.
We can to do it after the weekend. It was better. It will be better.
Yes, but we have a game today, so Israel versus Scotland. So
exactly,
we're crossing our fingers there.
You know what? If a player asked me why I'm not there, I said I need to work. You are doing something else. I'm kidding.
So actually, the next session is for both of you. You know, with fans away from the stands, reaching them and engage will be more important now than ever. So, what do national associations need to do if they want to keep the fans engaged safely, also to help them monetize? Doug, please.
Okay, I mean, the basics are you need a way to reach the audience, and you need to give them a reason to spend their time with you. On the digital side of things, we all know it's an attention economy, and that attention is how you achieve the objectives. Whether it's you're just trying to get people to love football, you're trying to increase participation and get more kids to play football in your country and play longer. Or it's a chance to get revenue, which is the bottom line for a lot of folks. It's really about getting the nuts and bolts right. If it's a case of if we're talking about matches where fans can't be in stadiums, it's how do we make that experience at home as good as possible. Whether it's the NBA, for example, is somebody who's done a very good example during the shutdown and then after the shutdown since they've been back. As a consumer myself, they were very high contact during the shutdown. I'm a subscriber to their OTT service. They promoted and offered lots of archive content, iconic moments, things like that. Promoted what they had, used what they had on hand to promote. And then the game experience when they came back was really brilliant. If you look at, they put everybody in a bubble in one location in a few different gyms. They're playing in really small gyms. But if you look at what they've done, they've got video walls around the three sides you can see from main TV camera. And they've made it feel like an actual stadium. And one of the things they did was really creative is each match, they invite 320 fans to join on video conference at home. It's made possible by their sponsor. Microsoft sponsors it. And they provide the technology so I can sit in my chair at home and my image and what I do, and I cheer and I'm wearing my team's colors. I appear in the stadium. So the players actually playing the match can see 320 fans on the video wall. And those spots are granted the home team. So the home team for that match, can have an advantage. I thought that was really creative. That's harder to do in football because it's an outdoor sport.
It was something that the Danish, I think,
things that have been done. Yeah, I mean, some people have done different things about how can we get the fans into the stadium, but things like how do we get the production sound environment right? So some of the things like the Premier League and the Champions League did, partnering with EA to make it feel like a football match. Now I know people go, oh, that's not real sound, and some people have things, but it really makes a difference in terms of your feeling watching the match when you have that experience. So for me, it's really focusing on how do we get the fan experience right, and then be clever about, how do you engage with fans. The other thing I'd say on the club side, some of the things people have done, I've seen, Borussia Dortmund, for example, has done a lot with their overseas folks. So, for example, they were scheduling a big party with their Chinese fan club that they have before lockdown hit, and they said, okay, well, how can we do this? How can we do this virtual? Now, they had the infrastructure. They've already been solving the problem of how do we engage with fans in China when we don't control our live match rights. We can give them You know, we can film the content at our training. We can give them live access to our training sessions. We can give them access to players. We can have Q&A. We can have games. So they started with that, and then it's kind of built out to a bigger and bigger thing where now they've got the German embassy in China involved, and they've got Puma, who's their kit sponsor, opening up their mega store, their flagship store in China, to have, you know, a virtual event so fan can see all the different, you know, Borussia Dortmund kit and all of that. So, but that goes back to the nuts and bolts of we've got a relationship and we've got a way to engage our fans in different places. So because they've got that, then when they need to solve the same problem that they had been solving in China, how do we access fans who can't come to our live matches and we don't have access to live broadcast to sell to them? Coronavirus brought the same problem at home, right? We don't have live matches, and fans can't come to the stadium. So how do we engage with them? Because they'd already been doing it overseas, then you've got the ability to react better to something like coronavirus.
Great. Ronit?
Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
no, great. No, I'll just add to Doug that we use this sound also in the stadium, because it's crucial for us that the players also will be inspired, you know, because playing in empty stands and in silence, it's not a match, it's a training session. So we use this sound also not just for broadcast. We are standing in an empty stadium with a lot of noise of fans, so it's really hilarious. So this is one point. The other one is just from my perspective as a marketing director. I must say that this we now went out to a bid of advertising companies, and that was the brief that they had to present. Because this is I think this is the number one problem now for us, that reflects other areas, but it starts from there. How do you engage the fans, and how do you don't lose the connection, you know, for long term. So it was interesting also to see the perspective of our team reacting to the brief, because eventually other things were checked. So eventually the advertised company that we thought that it's the best, it is the one that is very familiar with the new challenges for I don't know, for OTT broadcasting, you know, and augmented reality and so on and so forth. And this is the one that is going to be elected. Yes. And I think that 2 years ago, we would go to another direction with another company. But today it's crucial that the people that are giving this service and trying to connect the audience will be very updated with the new technologies and new channels that they can reach our fans.
And
totally
also
different.
Think about, you know, looking ahead when you're, you know,
exactly.
Because I know that you are hosting a lot of international youth tournaments in Shfaim, in the National Training Center, and you're broadcasting them with Pixellot. So we see the engagement that it has from families, from friends, and from fans. These can be under 17 girls games that were never broadcast before, but now there is a capability of their families around the world to watch. And I imagine the fact that they will not be able to even go with them to the international tournaments that are going to be happening in the next few months, broadcasting them and engaging them over social media and over other platforms will be even more crucial for the players, that, you know, they will know that their families are watching, know that somebody's there is watching them play. And as you said, it's not going to be a training session. So actually we are almost out of time. So Doug, the next question is last question is for you. You know, looking towards 2021 and beyond, can organizations future-proof themselves and still maintain their commercial rights and digital assets? What should be done tomorrow, and what should be planned differently?
based on what we see working with different people, number one is strategic control of rights. Make sure you control your rights, control your content going forward. Be very careful before you work with a buyout model with an agency, for example, and be very careful if you're going to work with a platform, a third-party video, OTT platform, where you are granting your content to them for them to monetize it and maybe give you a revenue share. Number two is very simple: build your brand and also the product in some cases. But the reason people engage is because they love you, they love your brand, they want you to be part of their life. So building that and making it compelling so people want it to be part of their life that's where all the value comes from. After that, content. This whole session is about how do you create more content, because that is how people engage with you. Whether you use it in a range of different forms, creating content, and then the ability to distribute and have a direct relationship with your audience is really important going forward. I mean, we all know that the bulk of the revenue right now comes in from traditional broadcast partners and third parties, but make sure that you've got the ability to build that direct audience for the future, so that you're not necessarily reliant on those business models as things change. And then, the other thing we've talked about is engagement with your target audience. Figure out what they want, figure out why they want to engage with you, not just live matches, but they want to talk to players. They want a chance to, buy their favorite shirt, all of those things. Invest in kind of that digital engagement, so that you have that relationship with the audience you have, so that you know them, you have that, and you can use the attention and the time they spend with you to achieve all the objectives, whether it's getting people to love football, getting increasing participation, or generating revenue.
So now is thank you, Doug, and thank you, Ronit. I would like to open the stage now for questions from the audience. Is there anyone who would like to ask any questions? And I know that we are a little bit short on time, so I would like I wanted to share with you a video that we created with the Israeli Football Association leading up to the game tonight. But because we are a bit short on time, I'm gonna share this link, and you can watch it after the session is over and while you're waiting for the next speaker to come. So at this point, I would like to thank you, Doug, and thank you, Ronit. Ronit, good luck tonight. We're all crossing our fingers for Zehavi, Dabur, and everyone else.
And Bibras.
And Bibras, of course, the captain. And thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.